Welcome back, SethBling's here. As promised, here is my walkthrough of my Redstone challenge map. This is going to be a bit of a walkthrough, also a little bit of a developer commentary. First thing is the rules. 1. No placing or breaking anything except the materials given to you in that level's chest. 2. You may not carry items with you from one level to the next. 3. You may exploit any redstone bugs or glitches that you know of. 4. This map is intended for single player. If you have multiple people, you should play as if you had only one. And 5. This map was designed for Minecraft 1.4.4 in survival/peaceful mode. So, like the sign says, you do want to make sure that you're in peaceful mode, because otherwise you will start to starve to death because no food is given to you. So make sure you read those rules carefully before you start. Each level like this has a chest with a solution book and well, some items, materials for the level. This level is pretty easy, level 0. It's just to kind of get you accustomed. These first few levels are basically to get you accustomed to the game. Okay, the second level, the lever. Sorry, that was level 0. This is level 1. Level 1 is a little bit different. You notice placing the lever next to the lever doesn't work, and in all future levels that doesn't work either. The goal is actually to light up this redstone lamp, and that will open the door. Now the reason why the door didn't open is because this is actually the closed state for the door. You can't really see it, but under there's a redstone torch attached to this lamp that is basically powering the door by default. And so a lever next to the door is just going to power it again. You need to depower the door in order to open it. There is a pressure plate in between each level, so you want to make sure that... Oh, sorry. This pressure plate, what it does is it clears your inventory. So you want to make sure that you don't, when you grab the items for one level, you don't accidentally go back over this pressure plate, because it'll clear your inventory. If you want to go backwards, just put the items back in the chest and you can go backwards. But, yeah. Okay. So, this level is very simple. The first few levels, like I said, are. There's a torch powering this, there's 2 torches powering that, and so we'll have to turn off both of these torches in order to get this line to turn off. This is an AND gate, and the way to do that is just to power this one. That turns this torch off. Power this one. This is very simple redstone. Both of these torches are off, this torch is on, and we get this lamp lit up like we wanted. Moving on. Alright, level 3. Pull out the lever. Okay, what we have here is 5 pistons. These are regular pistons. And there's some blocks. Now, again, we have a torch that we want to turn on, 5 torches that we need to turn off. This is another AND gate. It's a 5-way AND gate. In order to turn these off, we'll have to get the pistons to push the blocks, because that'll put the block over a torch, which powers the repeater. Okay, I know I'm going a bit fast, but this really is pretty simple stuff. So, we've done that. That turns off this torch. Just have to do the same thing 4 more times, and that will get all the blocks. Like I said, these are regular pistons, so they will just push their block, and they won't pull it back. So you'll notice my lever disappears as I go over this pressure plate. Like I said, it clears your inventory. Okay, level 4, 9 levers. And there are 9 blocks here, so you can go ahead and place them, although you don't actually have to solve this level. We can see on here there's some torches and some repeaters. This is kind of like a combo lock, but really all we need to do is, again, turn off all these torches. And to do that, we'll just hit the right levers, and very easy. Okay, moving on to the next level. Level 5. 2 levers. Okay, so this is kind of the first one that gets into a bit more advanced redstone mechanics. Again, we have an AND gate here. We'll have to turn off both of these torches. To do that, we'll have to get the block over both of these torches. Now, the problem is this redstone line doesn't actually hook up to the piston. You'll notice it just points out into nowhere. It's not going to turn it on. Same with over here. Doesn't do anything. These are actually block update detectors here. I mean, it's the mechanic. It's piston quasi-connectivity is the mechanic. If I power this here, that also doesn't push the block. But this lever is now providing power to this block. It just hasn't received an update to check whether it's receiving power. So that's how the block update mechanic works. When I power this, the redstone line running by here forces the piston to update, and now the block, the piston is there. So I can actually break both of these. It's a regular piston, so that's not going to cause an update. Do the same thing over here. And that's it. So this level is actually meant to teach you about the piston quasi-connectivity. You can see where, if you didn't already know about it, you can see how it works there. Alright, level 6. Okay, so we have 5 redstone, and so we just have just this one torch, and this is actually a repeater pointing into that block. So all we have to do is turn this torch off, and the way to do that is to feed the signal back into the torch. That will actually make it burn out. So this torch burns out, and once it does that, this repeater's been off for long enough, and you can just go through. This level was actually intended to demonstrate that you are allowed to use torch burnout, and that's an important mechanic later on in one of the levels. And yeah, I mean, that was basically what that was about. Okay, so this one is another kind of training level. It's an easy one. You'll notice I have 12 redstone. I'm getting 1 tick pulses out of this. So let me actually just do this. So every second or so, I'm getting a 1 tick pulse. So I've got a clock here. It's a little clock, and there's going to be some other clocks in other parts of the map. And then this is a monostable circuit, and there is a monostable circuit later on in the map, and it's useful to be able to recognize them. So I wanted to include one here that was operational and that you could see how it worked. And I mean, you can see for yourself. The torch turns off when it receives power, and then a couple ticks later, the repeater turns the line back on. So we can see how that line blinks off for a moment, and the torch turns on. So basically, these are all these are all sticky pistons, so you need to use the 1 tick pulses to get the pistons to push their block. But that's all there is to it. If you wait for it to go, it'll toggle it. It's kind of like a T flip-flop there, but there we go. And that's all we have to do. And move on to the next level. So yeah, this was also to demonstrate that there's 1 tick pulses for sticky pistons, and that's a thing if you didn't already know about it or know how to accomplish it. And that's important in this level right here, because what we have is a single lever, another AND gate. You'll recognize this. Have this in a lot of levels just because it's super useful for this kind of map. So 1 lever, of course, is not going to be enough with these sticky pistons, because I need both of the pistons or both of the blocks that the pistons are carrying to be extended. So you just have to do a very fast flick on and off for one of them, and then the other one you can just use the lever to power it. So that's how you do that level. Okay, level 9. Again, there's 1 lever and an AND gate, so we'll have to turn off both of these things. This one's a little bit more tricky. And so the way this one works is you need to burn out the torch here. You burn out one of the torches, and then you can just use the lever to turn off the other torch. So the way to do that, for some reason I'm not getting sound right now, which actually makes it a lot more difficult. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think I did it wrong. Yeah, this is actually a lot harder without sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I think I did it. Yep. So you just hold down the right mouse button until it's toggled on and off 8 times, and that will burn out the torch. And you need to do it. You need to be careful about how you do it. Actually, maybe I should go back and show you some of the things that you can do wrong with that. So the torch is still burnt out, but if I just put this lever here and turn it on and off, the torch comes back on. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. You'll notice the torch will turn right back on if you do it too many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I mean, this lever has to be off. If I turn it back on and then break the lever, that'll turn the torch back on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Okay. So you just have to do it that many times exactly, and just hold down the right mouse button. It'll do it like you want it to. Okay. This one gave some people a little bit of trouble because you don't actually strictly need the dirt blocks here. I don't want to spend too much time going into great detail about how this level works, but basically you can see we have some lines coming in from the sides, and those go back to the very beginning. So basically we'll need these lines to be off. So we can't have power coming from these gold blocks if we want the door to open. And then we can also see that we need this torch off, so we'll need the block over this. And so we'll have to have these pistons extended, or the blocks in the extended position, that is. And then also we need this block to be over this torch. So there's a couple ways to do that, but basically, yeah, I mean, you have to provide monostable pulses to both of these blocks simultaneously. And the reason I gave 2 dirt blocks for this is that you can easily achieve a monostable pulse by or a 1-tick pulse by just doing this, because the torch will be on for 1 tick and then it'll turn off immediately. So use the extra dust like that, and that's it. That's all you have to do to solve the level. The reason why you have to do them both at the same time is because we have two kind of halves of a monostable circuit here that both need to be triggered at the same time in order for this line to actually turn off going into this torch. You can analyze this a bit more for yourself, but that's the gist of it. Alright, level 11. There's actually a couple ways to do this one. Let's take a look at it for a moment. So we have this clock here, it goes into this repeater. Okay, then we have this other line here, and that goes into some torches, but let me just show you the behavior because that kind of explains what's going on. If I just directly connect them up, then we have kind of a clock. The clock is connected to these guys. But you can see this torch doesn't turn off because this repeater never turns off, just because it holds the signal for too long. These torches will have to remain off for longer than they are. So here's a solution I had in mind, but there are, again, a couple others. All you have to do is just make sure, or get these repeaters to lock in a loop. That'll keep it powered permanently, and all the torches will turn off, all the repeaters turn off, and we're good. So that's the solution for that level. Okay, on to level 12. It's 2 levers. Right, so this one is all about repeater locks. Let's trace it back from the end here. So in order to get this to light up, we need this to get powered. And so we need this torch to turn on, which means we need this input line to turn off, which means this torch has to turn off, which means we need to give that torch power, which means we have to get a signal through both of these repeaters. So basically we need a signal to get all the way from here to the end, and we only have 2 levers, so we will have to be breaking some levers in order to get the locks to work. First I'm going to power this one. That's not going to do anything because the lock is on, so I'm going to turn off this torch with a lever over here, and so that will turn this on, and now I can actually lock it right back up and break this lever. Then I need to do the same thing over here to turn off this lock, and I can turn it right back on. And so now the signal's locked on here. I don't actually need a lever on here anymore because the signal's locked in. So then the next thing I need to do, this isn't powered, so I can just pick it right back up. Next thing I need to do is get the lock off of this guy. In order to do that, I need to get the lock off of this one too. So First, I'm going to have to unlock this and then unlock this. So that let this signal through and then this signal through. And so now I can lock it right back up, and that'll be fine. The only thing left to do is to get the signal through this repeater, which just means I need to turn off this repeater. And to do that, all I have to do is just come over here and flick this on. And now the signal can get all the way through to the lamp. We're good. Now, I like this puzzle a lot. I think it's kind of tricky, and you just have to think about it, but you can get it. It's not, there's nothing too complicated about it. I also like this puzzle. So we can see a bunch of redstone blinking on and off, and again, there's an AND gate here, right? So we're going to have to get this entire line to turn off. If you analyze a little bit more closely, every 2 blocks, there's a little bit of a clock. So this is a clock, and then this is a clock, and this is a clock, etc. And they're kind of arranged a little bit weirdly just because of the way that I didn't want the clocks to interact with each other, or I didn't want the redstone to meet up, because then they wouldn't be independent clocks. The way to solve this puzzle is to get all of the clocks synchronized so that they're all turning on and off at roughly the same time. And in order to do that, you just need to put a button down here. Whenever you push the button, it'll turn off this torch. So if you look at the one to its right, you basically want the button to be pushed at the same time that the one to its right is turned off. Okay, so I'll just do that, and we can see that these two are now pretty much synchronized. They're off by about a tick, but that's fine. And then we'll just continue that. That was not the best. Yeah, there we go. We'll just continue that, moving down the line. These 3 are not in the best of sync. Let me try a little. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted. Okay, it's not bad. Actually, this one and the far one are now in sync. That wasn't good. That one's okay, I think. And you just repeat a few times. Maybe there's too many of these, but yeah, I think that was good. Okay. Pick it up. It's good. Yeah, the door is actually opening and closing now, so good enough. It's good enough to get through. Alright, moving on to level 14. All we have is 10 redstone here. So what we have is a clock, and then we have 4 pistons. So we need to get this block over this torch here. I think that's pretty obvious from just looking at the level. How to do that is a little bit less obvious. But the way to do it, first of all, you're going to need to power this one, obviously. And then we're going to have this piston grab that block. So if you just hook them up, they're perfectly out of sync, and it just doesn't quite work. But because of quirks in the way that piston timing works, if you have, yeah, there we go. If you have it turn on and off, then the piston will retract, but in a different way in it. So it's actually able to pull the block, and so we can do the same thing, exact same thing over here, and we'll just need to not quite. Yeah, sometimes it takes a few tries. Nope. Oops, that wasn't right. I need to do it towards the end of the pulse. There we go. Alright, so then the piston pulls it over this block, and we're good. On to level 15. Again with the dirt and the redstone and torch. So you kind of know that you'll need to be doing some one-tick pulses because of what I said earlier. So the way that I organized this one was a bit like this. Alright, so there's a lot more going on here than in most levels. There's 3 places we can interface, and okay, so there's a block here. It's currently over a redstone torch, so that powers this line here. And in order to open this door, we're going to have to get the redstone through this line, and we can kind of see some pistons here. This is a piston tape or piston loop. it pushes pistons in a circle. So we're going to have to use this piston loop to get the gold blocks all lined up along this line. And so to do that, we need to control the these piston loops. So in order to do that, we have one line coming off from here. It'll have to go through this gold block in order to control the left two pistons. And then similar thing for the right two piston. There's a line here, have to go through this gold block, and that controls this piston and this piston. So the first thing that we want to do is get this piston extended, which requires this block to be here, because that'll power this piston. So we need this block to go off to the left. You'll notice if I just power both pistons and then break them, the block will go off to the right every time. And that's just a quirk of how it works. One of the pistons is always going to win. When it's off to the right, you'll notice I can actually use the right side of the control loop. But if I did want to do that, it wouldn't really do much, because this piston would try and push and it wouldn't hit anything. This piston would try and push, it wouldn't hit anything. And that's all we would get out of it. So I do need to get it off to the left. In order to do that, I want a one-tick pulse. So I'm going to use this little structure I've set up here, and a one-tick pulse gets it right off to the left side. So that's kind of the trick to the level. Now that it's on the left side, this circuit's completed, and we can access the left-hand control of the piston tape. So if I do that, you'll notice this one pushed and this one pushed, and we got this block to move over a little bit. And then we have to now the right hand side is going to be active. So we want this piston to push and then this piston to push, which is exactly what will happen when we have the blocks fight again, and it goes off to the right. Okay, and then do the same thing. The pistons push. And so now we just need this block here and this block here, so we just have to repeat that again. And that'll do it. So we get the block off to the left, and then the piston tapes to go again. So now this block is in line, and we just have to do the right side of the piston tape again. So fight for it. Okay. And there we go. Okay, the piston tape, and so this is all lined up. Now all we have to do is get a signal through the middle. And so if you'll recall, when they're both pushing, the block is in the middle, and the signal goes right through the middle and over to the door. That's how you do that level. A little bit, there's just like a couple components there, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. Alright, we have 3 levers, and this one is a really cool puzzle. This is a block update, or the piston quasi-connectivity puzzle. Uses the same principle as block update detectors. And okay, so again we see this sort of AND gate, although this is like a combo lock. So we only need this torch off, and we need these repeaters off too. So we'll need the input here on and the input here on, and this one off, this one off. So the way to solve this, oh yeah, there's also 2 layers of block update detectors, and it's hard to affect just one. So for instance, if I put a lever down here and turn it on, that'll power both this one and this one. And then if I affect this piston, then, let's say I put this here, so then an update that affects both of these pistons will push both, and so that'll cause block updates to this piston, and this piston. And then so both of these will push. So it's like basically impossible for me to get this piston to push without also affecting this piston. So this is actually what I want to do. There's also a redstone line here that is length limited. So you'll notice if I here, let me break these levers because I don't want to actually do anything just yet. There's 3 positions I can put the lever on. So if I put the lever here, it'll go this far, which is only far enough to to cause an update on this piston. If I move it over by 1, and it'll affect both of these 2 pistons, and then obviously the third one will affect this one too. Alright, here's how to solve the puzzle. You put a lever here, and we're going to affect only the right piston. Okay, so that causes, like I said, this piston to update, and then these two. So these are both extended. We don't want this one extended. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this, and that's not going to cause any updates. We're going to remove this, that's not going to cause any updates. So we want this one to retract and this one to extend, and that's all we need remaining in the puzzle. So I'm going to put a lever here, and I'm going to cause a block update just to this one. So if I put a lever here, and this is where it was before, this piston's already powered, so causing block updates to both of these pistons is not going to change this one, which means that the fact that these two are depowered actually won't cause either of these to update. Now, this lever is powering this, so if I cause an update to this one, it will extend, which will this piston is not powered, so it'll retract. This piston is powered, so it'll extend, and that'll actually be exactly what we want. So I'll remove this lever from here, move it over by one, power it, and that's it. We caused this one to extend, that caused this one to extend, and this one to retract, and we're good. That's another fun puzzle. I like that one. Level 17. Redstone and... sorry, 2 redstone and a torch. This one is kind of tricky if you've never seen it before. So we need to get this gold block all the way over here. And so what you'll try first is powering this. We can see that, that's all well and good. But then it retracts, and so you want, this is a sticky piston, you want this to pull the other piston along, but no matter what we do, this piston's going to extend first just because it's closer in the line to the beginning. And so the trick to this one is that you need to make this arm retract, and before this arm is done retracting, you need to make this arm start extending. And this is actually a very popular form of T flip-flop that uses this mechanic. So you need a very short off pulse, a 1 tick off pulse, and you do it by just removing this redstone and replacing it. That might have been too quick, actually. You have to be a little bit slower. Yes, that did it. So now the sticky piston is extended, and if I break this redstone, it'll pull it along, and now we can repeat this process, and the non-sticky piston extends, pushing it along, and we break in place. Not quite right timing. Yeah, there we go. So it's basically just a lot of that, and I'm just gonna do it a bunch of times. Whoops. And eventually the door will open, basically. There we go. So it's just it's called a inchworm, I guess, usually. And it's kind of cool because you have the pistons, it's kind of self-propelling. You need all this stuff in the middle though to make it work. Okay, level 18. There's just a single lever. This one I'm pretty sure caused a lot of frustration to a lot of people because it involves some pretty difficult timing. You'll notice there's no gold blocks on top for me to place the lever on. This trick, or this one, relies on, again, piston quasi-connectivity in maybe a non-obvious way, but that's what puzzles are about, right? So if I stick this lever up here and power it, you'll notice that the piston will extend. And that's because I've powered it. Now if I remove it, it'll retract. This is quasi-connectivity. If I power it, you'll notice there was a bit of a delay before it actually extended, and that's because it needed a block update to determine that it was actually powered. So what you need to do is actually a bit tricky. You need to put this here and cause it to extend. Then before it gets its next update to retract, you break this piston, this lever, and before this realizes that it should retract, you need to put the lever over here and power it so that when this retracts and pulls the block away, it'll provide a block update to this piston and cause it to extend. And then you're going to have to do the same thing for this one. Power this before this realizes that it should retract because it's getting some redstone updates from these guys. So all in all, the This might take me a few tries to actually accomplish, but yeah, something like this. Yep, I got it, and yeah, so there we go. You have to be very quick about it. I found that it works best to power the lever above this, and then as soon as this extends, you start breaking the lever and move it. And then similarly, as soon as this extends, you start breaking the lever and move it. If you break it too soon, this guy just retracts. It just doesn't work. I'm sure if you try it for yourself, you'll figure it out. All right. This is the largest puzzle. This is level 19. There's 4 levers, and basically this is a giant combo lock. The only places you can place the levers are over here on these gold blocks, and they kind of form a grid of redstone under here. Now, if you look over here, you can see that only certain of these torches should be turned off and by receiving power here. So you don't want to provide power to this repeater or this repeater, but you do want to provide power to all the rest of these gold blocks. And there's basically just a big AND gate here, right? You've seen this before. So you need to find the right positions to place the levers. You do need to use all 4 levers in this one. And I don't actually remember it off the top of my head, so I will have to solve it. So I need to provide power to this one, which I think can be done from right here. Yeah, and that just barely reaches this block, but it doesn't reach this one. You can see it's 1 block away. Okay, so then what else do we need? So we need this one to receive power, but not this one. And similarly over here, we need these 3 to receive power. So I think the top right here may do that. Yeah, we don't have power to this one, so these are all off. That's good. And then similarly, over here, we have all 3 of these torches off. Okay, so then this torch needs to receive power, but not this. And all 3 of these. So this is very similar to over there, to the lever we just placed. We'll want, I believe we'll want it right here. And yep, that turned this torch off. These 3 torches, and then same thing. We have 1 more lever left. This goes in by 1 block, and that opened the door. Yep. Power just doesn't quite reach this block or this block, but it does reach this one, and that's it. Oh, you can kind of see that already. It's not intentional. Oh well. Actually, yeah, I can't believe I never checked that. That's kind of like the. Oh, we'll see. The last level, level 20, is build your own puzzle. I'm not going to do that because I have spent plenty of time building my own puzzle. The rest of this map. So, oh wow, you can kind of see through all these doors. You can feel free to just knock down the door if you don't actually want to do it, but I think it is actually kind of fun building these puzzles and stuff. Let's see. Thank you so much to playing my game. Congrats, and thanks to FE Disco for playtesting. Alright, well this has been a walkthrough of my Redstone challenge. I actually am kind of curious to see what you guys will come up with for this final level, so hopefully I'll see some of those good ideas. I hope you enjoy the map. For those of you who played through it or played through parts of it and looked through the walkthrough, really appreciate you playing my game. I had a lot of fun building it, and hopefully you had some fun playing it. Thanks for watching.